Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in the Moon Garden and we're going to get a little bit of infrastructure set up in here so that we can start planting. But first we have some raised beds to place and build, and a fence to replace, and a few other little miscellaneous things to get done today. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'll show you what we're looking at, and then we're just going to get into the project. Spencer and I are going to tag team. We'll both be working on different things, trying to get this all set up by the end of the day, because it's going to rain for another 10 days, and this is springtime in Oregon. We have to do these bigger projects as quickly as we can in a small amount of time so that everything's in place, so that when we only have an hour in between rainstorms, we can pop out here and quickly plant something throughout the spring, so that things can start growing before summer. Anyway, let me turn the camera around. I'll show you what's up. So this is our moon garden. We've been in this garden together many times. We have some pots up here that usually have white geraniums in them. We have a Bruala in this container. We've got an Impatient and a Clematis in this container. Normally there's raised beds right here. We painted the raised beds, and we'll be replacing them this afternoon. We just need to get them out of the garage and walk them over here. They're all dry and painted up. We have these two pots here. I want to move this pot because the raised beds come to here and then it gets kind of congested. We used to have a fence from the end of this pallet to this like structure thing. And then we had to put our Pyrenees to sleep last spring and last fall. Saying that because her absolute favorite place in the garden was right behind that fence line. And now that she no longer utilizes that space, we opened it up and removed the shrub, and now we're incorporating it into the moon garden. So underneath that tarp is where there was a giant hebe growing that was not very healthy, that Jasmine loved to sleep under, so we left it in the garden for her. And we had a little doggy hammock underneath it, and she loved it. But when she stopped utilizing it, we decided to take it out, and then that opened the fence line. This fence used to be over here, and so there was a fence this way and this way. So we had this whole open space right here that had our dog house and the dog hammock and the big shrub. So we decided we wanted to include it into the moon garden and give this space some sunshine to work with, because this area stays very shady all year long. And you can tell by how much moss is like on this lilac all over the ground. And the raised beds that we have here are raised up this high just so it can get some sun, because we had a bed down here in the ground for the first couple of years and it didn't get enough sun to grow anything. So it'll be fun to have a space that gets a lot more sun in the summertime, that we could grow sun-loving white flowers and variegated foliage. So we're starting to incorporate that. We took down this main fence. Spencer built these pallets up, and then we remembered we had this really beautiful iron bed frame that I wanted to incorporate into the garden. So we're going to remove the pallet that's behind it. That bed frame's just sitting there just for aesthetic purposes, so we could see if we really liked it. So Spencer's going to remove the pallet and sink the bed frame so it acts as a fence. And then I'm going to level this space out and move this pot over here just to kind of free up some of this space so it's not quite so congested. And then our hope is to build a bench right here and a raised bed underneath the bed frame. So we want to continue to have a fence even though we no longer have any dogs in the garden, because you may have noticed an announcement that we made a couple of weeks ago that we also had to put our senior red heeler down. And so we don't have any dogs at home anymore, but we do have young grandchildren, and we have family members with dogs, friends with dogs. So it's nice to have kind of a little enclosure that they're all safe in. You know, we're with them, but it's just kind of nice that they're just safe. It also helps deter bears from coming into our garden. Could they climb the fence? 100% yes. Could they destroy one of our fences? Yeah, they've done that. But not since we moved in. Like the very first fence that we put in, we had a gate kind of destroyed by a bear trying to open it up. But since then, they've left the fence alone, and it may be because we had dogs, and we might get some more activities, but for right now, it's just kind of nice knowing that we could walk out our back door and not have to immediately be on alert for bears. We can just have a moment in case they're on the other side of the fence. So, yeah, anyways, I'm just going to level off that spot, move the pots around. There's another little decorative piece that I want to add into the garden today, and we'll see how far we get, but I think we'll get quite a bit done today.
No.
One more thing that I want to look at with you all before we take a little tour is a couple of months ago, Spencer and I tried drilling holes in a stump and pouring salt in it, and then we covered it with tarp so that the rain wouldn't wash away all the salt. I just want a little peek in there and see what, if anything, has happened, and then we'll cover it back up if we need to. All right, so we just pinned this down with some landscape fabric or landscape staples. And well, it's looking slimy. I don't know if it's rotten, but it looks slimy.
No.
No, nothing?
No.
Not yet. But it definitely looks like, I don't know. It looks, yeah, I mean, it's mushy underneath. How weird. Like, see, it's like,
Yeah, really.
interesting to see. It's not an emergency to take it out today, so I just wanted to see what's going on underneath there, if anything yet. All right, we'll just cover it up and look at it again in a couple months, or when I get sick of dealing with this. All right, so you just saw us do a bunch of little tiny projects around the moon garden, but I thought I would walk through the garden with you and show you what we did and maybe a little bit of our future plans. So to begin with, we brought our rain barrel raised beds back out. Spencer made these beds for me several years ago, and they were bright blue like those ones back there. And I just kind of got tired of looking at that intense blue right outside of my living room windows. So we painted the barrels like a blue-gray that match all of our raised beds. And we're planning on painting the fence next spring, so we'll paint all of these things whatever color we end up painting the fencing. But for right now, I'm super happy to just have the gray blue color. And then we'll be filling these beds up with raised bed mix and putting in our summer annuals and perennials here very soon. Then we moved one of these pots that we had right here. You could see, this is where these beds were before, and you can see where that pot was, like right up against the leg of this bed. So I'm really happy to have like this kind of empty space. Of course, we'll fill this hole. And then we plant this up, but now we could have some spillers and just have this be just a beautiful little sweet spot. And then I do want to reconfigure my moon pathway just a little bit and bring it over a little bit more. I did stabilize those two right there. We're on a steep hill right here, so they started rocking as we move things around, so I just kind of put them on little plateaus so that they're like steps down now. You see that difference? But nice and strong. All right, so then this is the new area, and we took out the pallet fence, we put in the bed frame, and we built that raised bed that matches all of our other corrugated raised beds. It's so beautiful. I'm so excited about it. And then we also had the end bed posts, which I think when they're on the bed, they're the other way around with the tall pieces on the outside. I think it feels more like an entry into this garden this way. And so anyways, we moved this pot that was here right around the corner to right there. And in this pot, we have a type of clematis that blooms on old wood. And you can see it already has new growth on these old stems, which kind of drives me crazy. So anyway, we're gonna train it so that it climbs over this fence here, which I think it'll really love because it'll get a lot more sun than it did over in that corner. And then there is a hosta in here, and we usually have an impatient, so we'll do a sun patient now that it's in the sun. And because clematis like their feet in the shade and their face in the sun, so we'll just make sure that the feet of this clematis have some shade, and then all of this will be all sun. Right across from that, we have this little ball looking thing, and it is actually a fountain. You can see this little hole right here, and the bottom is hollow. So we are going to be building a fountain, which is really exciting, right here, and it will be solar powered, so we won't have to run electricity to it. And then right here, we're going to build a bench. And I'm really excited about that because when you come over here and you sit in this space, and I take this limb off and kind of shave this Himalayan honeysuckle, we're gonna have this sweet little arch of lilac and honeysuckle looking down over our birdcage gazebo right there. So it's just gonna create a really beautiful vista when you're facing this direction, and then when you're in the house or somewhere else in the moon garden, we have this new beautiful vista. So exciting. Oh, and the other thing that I've added into this garden is when Spencer put this new pallet fence up, I had him leave really tall posts, and my intention is to add, like this one needs to be fixed, but to add baskets like this on the tops of these posts, so that we could have annual Supertunia spilling over there with bright colors. We'll usually do a white or a white stripe in this moon garden. I love the stripe idea because then when I'm over on that side of the garden, I can see them right over these rhododendrons and have these really bright, fun colors in the summertime after the rhododendrons are done blooming. So there it is. We need to get this area mulched. It's been in shade for years, and it's just bare soil, so I know it's just like a big bank of seeds that are ready to germinate. So we want to get it mulched quickly, but that'll be saved for another day. I'm really happy with what we got done today. This little space is looking like a little room and cozy, and it's really sweet. And then beyond this sweet little space, we have an arbor on the way that's going to replace this arbor that we had made like 6-7 years ago.
No longer.
Yeah, it was one of the first things that we made here. We have this tall, maybe climbing shrub rose that was here when we moved in, and we needed an area that we could walk through, so we created this trellis for the climbing rose and just made this sweet little arch. But our land pulls everything this direction and it's not cemented in or anything. So anyway, I want something that is not like white on, you know, fence line, after fence line. So we bought a black arch that will go right there, and it'll just kind of disappear, but it'll have some nice structure when you can see it, like when we're this close. So that'll be coming, and
The dog ought to go away.
yeah, and then we'll remove all that stuff, obviously. The next couple of things that we're going to be doing in here is build that bench, which we will do a video on, and build the fountain, which we'll also do a video on, And then, because, you know, we're all about DIY here, so we'll bring you along with us as we do that. And then we'll get everything all planted up. And then, of course, we have the moon garden jewelry that always comes out here, where it's like moon-themed artwork and wind chimes and lights and all the fun things. So that'll be fun too. And of course, I will show you all of that as we go along. And then, you know, planting, so much planting to do. We still have our little hellebore to do, which we'll be doing pretty soon here. And yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you are inspired to create a new space in your garden and make it cozy, make it sweet, make it sacred. And I hope that you're celebrating your life, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.